When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future videos and updates that I do post on my community tab frequently. If you want to get access to any of my early content, check out the Discord. This is the Second Chance of Life, Part 5, Batman Suspicions. This is an temporary team up. I wasn't sure on that title of this part, but I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I'm too lazy to pick a better name for it. But anyways, let's get into the story. After the victory and death of Swamp Thing, Floronic Man was too busy reveling in his newfound power. Rose, on the other hand, was exploring the territory that was once Swamp Thing. Rose doesn't care about the Avatar of the Green title. She would rather not interrupt her teacher's evil laugh. Rose, fully aware that her teacher is not good in the humans' alignment from good and evil, Rose does not care about such things. She's been learning a lot from Floronic Man. She's already decided to stick by her teacher until she learns everything he can from him, or she can from him. When that happens, she'll go her separate ways. But she knows that's not going to happen anytime soon. So Rose began to travel back or walk back to her teacher. Each step Rose took, more of the swamp gets covered by her eclipse flowers and Rose's other plant life. The entire swamp is covered in her black vines, eclipse flowers, and her eclipse man-eating Venus flytraps, alongside with many of her killer pumpkins. Every plant Rose created is prehistoric in nature. Every plant she makes is prehistoric. It's just how her powers work. Rose's plant life is a lot more bigger and a lot more dangerous. Most plant life she creates can eat a full-grown human. Ah, teacher, I see you're reveling over your power. Floronic Man could only laugh a bit more. I see you've done a little bit of redecorating. Yes, I've planted several of my plants scattered across the entire swamp. Excellent. Was that type of plant life you can create? And considering they're a lot more carnivorous, it'll definitely add swamp with a little more extra protection, in case any of the heroes get curious. You're asking the wrong girl. I just know how to make them. I have no idea. The majority of them come out with eyes and teeth. It just happens. Your plant life, dear, is different. Very different. I've noticed your plants. I can't control them. Only you, apparently. Quite fascinating, actually. I've run a couple of tests, and I'm unable to control any of your plants. I have a theory. I believe no one will be able to control your plants, except you. Before they could continue this conversation any further, Floronic Man and Rose turned their head towards the direction where they sensed someone getting closer and entering the swamp. As we cut to the entrance of the swamp, as Batman has finally entered the swamp, after he parks his Batjet to the other side and covered up with branches and other plant life to conceal it. Once that was done, Bruce made his way into the swamp. Alfred, I'm entering the swamp now. Understood, Master Bruce. Everything good on my end. Your life signs are in the green. You're all clear. The moment Bruce entered, it was supposed to be a swamp. He was immediately taken aback by the large eclipse flowers scattered all around the swamp, in all different sizes, from small to medium to large to humongous. Alfred, are you seeing what I'm seeing? That I am, Master Bruce. I've never seen flowers like this before. Flowers like this shouldn't be possible. It looks like a mixture between a tree and a flower, and judging by the glowing green color from the flower petals in the middle of the flower, I could take an educational guess and say it's poisonous. Also noticing the strange looking black and spike vines scattered all around the swamp. Clearly, something has happened. Master Bruce, you have bogeys incoming. Your way in there moving fast. Bruce checked his sensors. Alfred was right. There's clearly movement heading his way. Bruce had to leave. As he leaped out of the way as a humongous Eclipse Venus flytrap tried to take a bite out of Bruce. That look familiar, sir? A bit, Alfred. It's clearly a Venus flytrap. You don't think it could be one of Ivy's, do you? No, this Venus flytrap is far more different compared to Ivy's Venus flytraps that she creates. Look at its sharp teeth. Bruce used his grappling hook to on the top of the trees to get a better viewpoint as he saw dozens and dozens of some sort of pumpkins that are walking through the swamp. As Bruce noticed, some of them caught notice of him and began to charge towards his direction. How many, Alfred? 15 in total, but their numbers are increasing in great numbers. I'm heading back, Alfred. There's too many. Copy that, Master Bruce. Batman immediately started to retreat. The numbers of hostile plant life was too great, even for the great detective Batman himself, to take on alone. He was no fool. Something definitely is going on in the swamp, and there's something, and it has something to do with Swamp Thing. But it's too dangerous for him to continue forward. For now, as Batman retreated. In the heart of the swamp, Rose and Floronic Man could sense the person that entered the swamp has retreated. Whoever that was, they seemed to be smart enough to leave. It seems so. It seems like my pumpkins managed to spook them. Before Batman left the swamp, he managed to take one of the small eclipse flowers in a reinforced glass container for further study. The moment Bruce got the sample, it went back to his jet, as he immediately went to head back to Gotham to run some tests on the flower in the Batcave. When Bruce got back to the Batcave and parked his Batjet, Alfred was waiting for him, noticing the flower inside the reinforced glass case that Bruce is holding in his hands. "I didn't take you for a flower person, Master Bruce." "I'm not, but this is one of the flowers that was in the swamp, and a much smaller size, of course." Got to admit, the flower does look unique, seeing it in person. Now that I could get a better look at it, as Alfred examined the flower, there was plenty of dirt inside the reinforced glass case, so the flower was mostly undisturbed. Bruce immediately begins to run the flower through multiple scans. "How long until you get any results, sir?" "Couple of days, maybe a week." As the Bat computer bring up all the possible gardens of poison ivy, as the Bat computer begins to analyze the results of several small pictures of different gardens of poison ivy that's been established all around the world. "I take it you're going to try to locate Miss Ivy?" "I need to find out if she's involved, and if she's not, then I'll definitely need her expertise. If anyone could identify these flowers, it would be her." "I'm no flower expert, but I highly doubt this flower is a common one. I've been around for a while, Master Bruce, and I've never seen a flower like this. It's possible it's most definitely poisonous. If it is poisonous, the question is what type of poison we're dealing with. I'll definitely have to take precautions." Meanwhile, Rose was given a mission. As Rose left Floronic Man to his own devices, she has to get to Gotham, but she wants to explore the outside world, outside of the swamp. She's never been outside of the swamp, outside of training or hunting down humans. Training has been on a halt for now. Floronic Man is too busy with whatever he's planning. So Rose gladly took the mission and to use the excuse to explore on her own. Rose can always contact Floronic Man through the Green if she needs to get a hold of him. And he could do the same. Get a hold of her. It's an easy communication through the Green. Even Poison Ivy can do that. As Rose is walking through the swamp, walking on top of the water, as she's walking past all of her plants and her killer pumpkins that are patrolling the entire swamp, her plants normally would completely ignore all of the animal life in the swamp. The moment one of the predators tried to attack one of her plants, That's when her plants became aggressive, very hostile. But normally, they would completely ignore the wildlife unless provoked. When Rose finally left the swamp, she picked a direction towards Gotham. As she walks and looking at everything, she's never been outside this far. Outside the swamp, out of the near chances that she goes to different locations for mostly hunting down humans, but that actually is a danger for nature. But outside of this is brand new. Beyond that, she's never been outside of the swamp or forest, so everything is new and exciting for her. As she begins to walk the side of the road, passing by several cars that's driving by on the highway. Rose knows what a vehicle is. She still has the memories and knowledge from her past life, so she's not too suspicious or surprised about cars and technology and all that. Rose might not know everything about the world, but she knows a little bit from the glimpses she's able to see through of her old memories, of her old life as a human called Rose Blackheart. Rose eventually came across a small, quaint town by the population of like 300 to 400 people. The street was filled with people, everyone going about their business, the mailman delivering letters, the milkman delivering milk, and the local police patrol the small town. Rose was just looking at everything. The houses, the stores. As she noticed a little quaint little bookshop. Lucky for Rose, Floronic Man gave her some extra money that he had on hand and handed over to Rose before she left, and told her to get whatever she wanted. There was quite a bit of money. Floronic Man wanted to get Rose out of his hair for a while, and Rose wasn't arguing. The moment she entered the bookstore, a kind old lady greeted her. Because this specific town is quite safe, it's not rare to see a 4 to 5-year-old kid walking by themselves while their parents are taking care of their errands. In this sort of town, everyone knows each other. Rose greeted the kindly old lady and politely introduced herself. Then she begins to look around the bookstore. She saw very different types of genres. Rose eventually purchased her first book and said her farewells to the nice old lady and paid for it and left. As she begins to explore the town, Rose began to explore the town and checking out other stores. After Rose was satisfied, quenching her curiosity, she moved on. Not realizing because of her pheromones, the town people are more willing to be kinder and offer her things like the occasional snack when she was walking past the bakery. Rose is more combat orientated than her mother, Poison Ivy. That doesn't mean she doesn't have the capability to enslave humans with her pheromones. She just hasn't interacted with a whole lot of humans. The humans in the town were the few humans she directly interacted with that she didn't kill. When the sun was finally disappearing and the moon starting to rise, Rose found herself in a clear field as one of her eclipsed flower came out of the ground. As Rose used the moisture in the air to gently release water over the flower, as the eclipsed flower begin to grow by Rose using her power to make it grow larger. When the flower was large enough, Rose hopped in the middle of the eclipse flower and lay down as she watched the stars in the sky. Rose was extremely enjoying herself today in the human town. She wants to explore other human cities. She heard from Floronic Man, like the bigger ones, like Metropolis, and she's heading to Gotham anyways. So naturally, her next big stop is going to be Gotham, then Metropolis, after her mission is complete. That doesn't mean she's not going to try to visit any of the other small towns and cities on the way. Rose gently tapped one of the petals of the flower as the flower began to glow a bright green. As Rose used the light that the eclipse flower is producing to use as a light to read her book. After reading for almost about an hour, she closed the book. As she closed her eyes, as the eclipse flower begins to close its petals, concealing Rose inside the flower in a protective shell. As the eclipse flower starts to create rock-like armor over itself to protect Rose with extra amounts of protection. This is the first of her eclipse roses that clearly has displayed traits from her Earth manipulation. When the sun finally rises, sunlight begins to shine upon the eclipse flower that has a thick coat of stone armor, begin to crack and shatter as pieces of debris of rock fall from the eclipse flower. As the flower begins to bloom, as the petals begin to reveal Rose sleeping inside, Rose opened her eyes and started to wake up as she left the book inside the eclipse flower. Once she stepped out of the flower closes petals and begins to sink back into the ground. Rose is still going to be traveling, so holding on to a book would be very inconvenient for her, so she kept it inside the flower for safekeeping. As Rose continued her travel, as Rose visits several cities and towns on her way, when she finally got to a bigger city, not Gotham, but a decent-sized city, she accidentally got mistaken for a elementary student from Gotham, as a teacher directed her to join the class. Other students didn't really notice Rose's presence there, so Rose took a empty seat on the school bus. Eventually, the school bus stopped at a museum as a field trip. Was that Rose acted like one of the students and followed the adult, directing them through the different exhibits of the museum. Eventually, their field trip came to the end as the teacher guided all of the students back onto the bus. When the bus eventually stopped for a pit stop for the students to stretch their legs, it's starting to get dark, and they're currently near Gotham. Rose slipped away using the darkness as cover and proceeded to phase through a tree to cover more distance as Rose found herself in one of the many forests that Gotham has just outside their city limits. After scavenging the forest for some fruit, Rose didn't need to eat really. She could live off the sun, but it's an old habit from her past life that integrated with her new life. And Rose likes the taste of fruit. Rose eventually came walking out of a tree, somewhere in Gotham, not noticing Gotham is in completely lockdown, as a huge metal walls separated the worst part of Gotham from the more wealthy part of Gotham, separating the villains of Gotham City from the more wealthy population. As the sealed off part of the city has been completely taken control by the escaped convicts, mostly the villains of Gotham. As Rose look up in the sky, as a new type of fear toxins start to rain down upon the sealed off city of Gotham by several blimps in the sky. Naturally, Rose is completely immune to toxin poison, so she felt no discomfort being exposed to this new type of fear toxin. Unfortunately, the moment that Batman left Gotham to look for Ivy, that's when the city started to go on a lockdown. Rose spotted several common criminals looting and attacking any civilians that are hiding inside inside a building, store, or apartment. As Gotham is in complete chaos, the city authorities is clearly not in control of the situation, nor the inmates or criminals. It's clearly the criminals are running around the city without being challenged. No Batman, no Robin, no other member of the Bat family has showed up. Rose only gave them a slight glance. She's clearly disgusted. She only views these humans as barbarians, just causing mass chaos, just for chaos' sake. She finds such behavior to be revolting. As she moved on before she caught anyone's attention, Rose walked down the alleyway and stopped and looked at a stair leading down to a door to a small studio apartment. Rose just phased through the wooden door. As she looked around the small studio apartment, it was clearly evident whoever lived here was clearly in a big hurry to leave. Rose didn't care, so she saw a remote control to the television on the living room table. She picked up the remote and pressed power as the television flickered to life. She has memories of her past life about technology, so she wasn't surprised or confused by the television. She calmly walked into the kitchen area of the studio apartment and looked through the refrigerator filled with fruit and other foods. Rose chose to ignore the other foods in the refrigerator and grabbed several pieces of fruit, from grapes, raspberries, oranges, and so on, and placed all the fruit in a large bowl that was on a nearby counter that she was able to reach. Once the fruit was in the bowl, she returned to the living room area and began to channel surf, trying to find something interesting to watch. All Rose could see is news channel that's debriefing everyone of the situation in Gotham. After news channel describing the situation because of the lockdown and the most dangerous parts of Gotham where the criminals are free, Rose wasn't really interested in that. As she changed the channel once again to find some old cartoon, she set the remote control down and began to watch Tom and Jerry and began to eat her fruit. Meanwhile, Bruce is still trying to pinpoint Ivy's position. He's visited 8 of Poison Ivy's gardens with no sign of her, and his communication to Alfred has been cut off for now. As Bruce approached another one of Poison Ivy's garden, once he stepped inside, he was immediately confined by vines as Batman is lifted upside down. As Ivy stepped out of the foliage or the trees and plant life of her garden. I don't know why you're here, Bats. There's a reason why I secluded myself. Enough, children. Put him down. as the vines put Batman down on the ground gently, as they begin to unwrap itself from Batman. If you managed to track me down, you sought me out for a purpose. There's something I want to get your opinion on. Is that a demand or a request? Request. You're lucky I have a soft spot for you, fine. How can I help? I went to visit Swamp Thing in the swamp, but I couldn't go any further. Once I entered the swamp, the entire swamp, what I could see, was filled with hostile plant life, walking killer pumpkins, tree-sized, humongous, strange-looking flowers, between a combination between a flower and a tree. Have you been in contact with Swamp Thing recently? No, I temporarily disconnect myself from the green. At least, I cut myself from communicate with anyone through the green, at least. I haven't talked to Swamp Thing in quite some time. But is this flower you mentioned? It has caught my interest. I thought you would. That's why I brought it in my Batjet, just in case. Poison Ivy followed Bruce to the Batjet as he pulled out a reinforced glass container that's meant to hold samples of plant life inside. Ivy couldn't see what's inside because of the glass wasn't see-through. Follow me, as she led Batman to her further into her garden, where there's a single small house in the middle of the forest. Please, come inside. Let's take a look at what you brought me. As Batman placed the glass container on the table in the living room, as a solid color glass shifted into see-through glass, as Poison Ivy saw the very small eclipse flower, black petals, and the inner flower is bright green, as it gave off a glow. Interesting, very interesting. Let's see what we have here. Where did you get this? Or should I say, Swamp Thing? I'm not familiar with this species of flower. Do you have any idea what you have here, Bats? What exactly you're getting at, Ivy? This flower is not supposed to exist. I could tell. It's prehistoric in nature. It's old. Very old. Despite the flower being so young. How big does these flowers get? About the size of a full-size tree. I was only able to grab a younger version of the flower. This is all the data I have scanned, as Bruce handed over a couple of sheets of paper with the results of the data from the scans. You're spot on this species of flower. It's highly poisonous. As Poison Ivy lit up the glass container and gently stroked the black petals with her fingers. It's definitely poisonous. What I could sense and what I'd be able to tell, it produces an invisible, smellless poison that corrodes anything that makes contact with it. She tries to communicate or control the flower. She was instantly rejected. Poison Ivy's eyes widen. Impossible. I can't commune with this flower, nor can I control it. That's definitely troubling. I know Swamp Thing, and he's not capable of making such plants. I think it's about time I return to Gotham. This has piqued my interest. I will help you. Good, because I normally would prefer to do this alone, but you need an expert in the field, like me. Precisely, Ivy. And you seem to have changed. Getting killed and being revived made a lot of things more clear to me, Batman. Bruce got a incoming message from Alfred finally. He's been trying to contact him for days now. Sir, we have a problem. I need to take this, Ivy. What's the problem, Alfred? Ivy raised her eyebrow, but did not interfere. She could tell the Bat is talking to someone. Most likely one of his allies. So Ivy chose not to interrupt him. She's more interested in the plant, and she begins to examine it more closely, with a curious expression on her face. Gotham. At least the bad parts of Gotham has been completely sealed off by a huge wall that they built and installed overnight. At least that's what it seems like it. Gotham is in complete chaos. The villains are on loose, all of them. Gordon is trying to do his best to keep law and order, but there's so much that's going on. And with your rogue Gowerly on the loose, he can't do nothing about it. I'm on my way back now. Shall we go? You sure about this, Ivy? Of course I'm coming. I want to learn more about these flowers, and judging by your expression, there's trouble back at home, isn't there? I'll explain on our way back. Very well. As Poison Ivy followed Bruce into the Batjet, while holding the Eclipse flower in the glass container in her lap. Only reason Poison Ivy is so willing to help Bruce is because she respects Batman, the only male she has ever respected. They might have clashes on multiple occasions, but she's always respected the man. Not many humans could stick to their morals, but like the Bat can. And Poison Ivy has came to respect that about him, about the Cape Crusader. And it's not to change of pace for her. Instead of fighting against Batman, she chose to work with him instead. Back in Gotham, Rose decided to leave the small studio apartment and went to take a look more of Gotham. Everything's still a mess. Chaos is reigning unchecked. She occasionally saw a squad car driving around trying to subdue and arrest as many criminals as possible, but it's clearly evident whenever police entered the sealed part of the city, they immediately became a target of all the criminals that spotted them, immediately opened fire upon the police cruiser. Rose simply used a water blade to cut through their guns as the police cruiser managed to get away. Before the low-ranking criminals could figure out what was going on, several more water blades began to fly through the sky, cutting off their head from their body as their dead corpses fell to the ground, as their heads began to roll. Rose continued to walk down the street until she came across Gotham's orphanage. There's a large group of full-grown men trying to break down the gate, all carrying bats and chains and machetes. Clearly, they have no good intention for the young children. As Rose could sense the large number of life signature inside the orphanage, as all the children are terrified, Rose instantly could feel their fear. Enough. As Rose stomped her foot onto the ground, as Rose's Eclipse flowers erupted from the ground, bursting through the hard cement of the street, Rose immediately had her vines constrict and wrapped around all the criminals, crushing their body. As the vines tossed their dead corpses to the side, nonchalantly when they were no longer living. When she was satisfied that her plants were big enough to protect the orphanage, she moved on and started to create more of her plants, forcibly taking Poison Ivy's territory as her own. Everyone in Gotham could see the plant life, thinking Poison Ivy has came back, unaware it wasn't Poison Ivy, but it was Poison Ivy's daughter. But no one knows that outside of Floronic Man, not even Rose knows that her mother is Poison Ivy. She just thought she just was created from the green. Because Poison Ivy's temporarily disconnect herself from the green, she was unaware of Rose's existence. She'll still be able to use her powers. Only part of the green that was cut off from her was the communication part of it. So she couldn't communicate with Swamp Thing. Even if he asked for help, he's already dead, so that time has long passed. Rose jumped on one of her flowers that rose up in the middle of the air, fast. As she stepped off of the flower onto the building, where there's a large greenhouse on the roof of the building. At this time, Harley Quinn was just walking around, trying to find something to do. As she saw large plant life appearing in her old friend's territory, Poison Ivy, she immediately made her way towards the greenhouse on top of the building, thinking it's her best friend. She's finally came back. So Harley Quinn was a bit excited to see her old friend. When she got to the roof and walked into the greenhouse, she opened the door loudly, announcing herself. Harley was immediately wrapped around vines and hanging upside down. Red, it's me. You can tell your plants to let me go now. We haven't seen each other for so long. Is this how you treat me? As Harley Quinn has a pout on her face. As Harley could hear footsteps, small footsteps by the sound of it, as Rose walked into the light, revealing herself to Harley Quinn. Rose tilted her head to the side. Holy shit. You're not Red. Harley Quinn couldn't help but see the splitting image of Poison Ivy, red hair, slightly glowing green eyes, pale looking skin. She didn't know Poison Ivy so well. She would believe and expect this little girl to be her sister or daughter, but Harley wasn't. Harley didn't know how right she was on the last part. Once Harley Quinn was free, she couldn't help herself, and she couldn't resist it anymore as she swooped the cute-looking girl in her arms. Release me, human. Sorry about that, as Harley Quinn laughed nervously as she put Rose down on the ground. Couldn't help myself, you're so adorable. Little Red. Several men burst into the greenhouse as the goons of Penguin aimed their guns at Harley Quinn and Rose. You're coming with us, Harley Quinn. Mr. Penguin demands your presence. And what if I refuse? Either come with us conscious or unconscious. Your choice. If you don't come along willingly, we'll kill the girl if you resist. Harley Quinn clearly didn't like the last comment she made about that sweet, innocent little girl, Little Red. But Harley Quinn could easily take care of She could easily take out these sad excuses for lackeys, but she doesn't want to endanger the Little Red any longer, or any more than she has already. So Harley agreed, for now, get rid of the kid. As he motioned his fellow goon to kill the little girl. Not happening. This girl's with me. You try anything, you're dead. Oh man, we don't have time for this. The boss is already waiting for us. Fine. The goons of Penguin had Harley Quinn and Rose at gunpoint, directing them through the building until they got outside and directed them into the car or van. Harley Quinn took Rose by the hand and followed their direction for now. Rose was surprised from the physical contact. She was even more surprised that her corrosive poison is not affecting her. But she did not allow it to show on her face. Once they got inside, Harley Quinn put Rose on her lap while she took out a hairbrush and started to brush Rose's hair. Completely unbothered by being at gunpoint in the van by Penguin's goons. Rose did not resist. Rose is curious about this Penguin fellow that the humans were mentioning. I take it your boss is still mad from that little incident? Just grunts. We don't have that sort of information. All we know, the boss wants to see you. About what? We're not sure. We just do what we're told. All we know is something to do about the clown. What does it have to do with Mr. J? I have no involvement in his plans, whatever he's planning. Like I said, Crazy Blonde, you're gonna have to learn that from the boss man himself. Harley Quinn frowned, not getting a direct answer that she wanted. But she soon lost interest and continued to brush Rose's hair. By the way, Little Red, I'm Harley Quinn. Rose only gave her a simple reply. It would be rude of her not to introduce herself. Rose. Harley Quinn had a bright smile and continued to brush Rose's hair, not even giving the armed men of Penguin any attention. And Rose doesn't mind the attention having her hair brushed, and giving her a chance to get a better understanding of the locals. She won't act or begin her mission until she has a better situation of the whole situation inside the city. That's where we're going to stop it. I'll catch you guys in the next part.